Publishing. This is Emin Muhammad, and we are celebrating today the launch of a very fabulous book called The Game Changers. It's volume 7 and part of the inspiration and heart of Emin Aghay, who has worked with entrepreneurs really for a very, very long time to get their message out to the world. Emin, you wrote a chapter in this book, and the chapter is called What is Your Continual Improvement? Really for a very, very long time to get their message out to the world. Emin, you wrote a chapter in this book, and the chapter is called What is Your Continual Improvement? Really for a very, very long time to get their message out to the world. Emin, you wrote a chapter. You read it on Facebook, Emin? The chapter is called What is Your
Yes, I am. Well, right now.
I'm hearing it, two of us, and we need to talk live. Facebook?
I don't think so.
Yes, I am.
I'm hearing kind of two conversations. There we go. We need to talk live. Facebook?
I don't think so. Yes, I am.
I'm hearing kind of two conversations. There we go. We need to talk live. What's happening while we're getting two conversations? Okay. Do you have Facebook up already up too? Or another social platform?
Do we have a party line?
No, we've never had that. I'm just wondering if you have another screen with maybe another social media up that you're watching it live. I'm just wondering if you have another screen with maybe another social media app that you're watching live. We are. Hi, Mark.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Okay, so we went live because you were a smidge late.
I'm going to sign out and sign in again.
Why you're hearing dumber.
I'm really hearing some background noise.
Did you get out and come back in? We went live because you were a smidge late.
I'm going to sign out and sign in again.
Hearing this. There. Thank you. We are already live. I'm so sorry, and I hope you can come back in.
Good.
We'll start this fresh, but I can't restart it right here, so we'll have to wait and see if he comes back in.
Okay, good.
Yeah, all of a sudden we were just talking away, and all of a sudden I don't know if he had it and was going to watch it on the other screen or just what, but it was like, I'm hearing myself talk.
Some feedback happening.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. So I hope he can come back in.
Yes.
We'll wait half a second. It is already live, so and somebody is watching. So why don't we just get started then, and we'll see.
Let's get started.
Awesome. So Mark, really happy to meet you this way and be able to have this conversation. We are celebrating the launch of the Game Changers, inspirational stories that change lives, and you wrote your chapter, and I think it's right here: Exploding Sales, Exploding Profits.
Yes.
So what's the premise behind this chapter? What's it about? Where's the core of it?
Well, I thought I'd go from where my journey began and why I am at a place in my life right now. Why am I a business mindset profits coach? Why am I a sales coach? Why am I a sales trainer? Where did it all start? And as I'm big on writing in my morning pages and doing meditation. And I asked myself, even before this opportunity came forward, I asked, okay, where did this start? So I remember being in my dad's hotel when he was an entrepreneur. And I remember all these salespeople coming in. And that was my first taste of sales. I was about 9 years old. And that's where I got the bug in sales. And then it developed. Every job that I had, it was in sales. And then I even went further and I worked with two sales training companies, big sales training companies in Western Canada, and learning what I needed to learn about sales training and about coaching and about running a business. And then in 2000, I decided to go off on my own and start Bernard Training Solutions. It was not really Bernard Training Solutions. It was HQ training, and no one really understood what that was. So it actually stood for Healing Quest, but everyone thought it was headquarters. So I went, that's not going to work. And then I hired a coach, and they said, well, Mark, why don't you just use your name? And I went, yeah, that's Bernard Training Solutions.
So can we hold
it's my last name.
Just hold. Emin, can you hear us? He's not hearing nor seeing us. So
no, I don't see him either. Yeah. So then I started Bernard Training Solutions, and then as I grew my business, and I realized that, well, wait, I'm having clients all over the world, so let's add international to it. And therefore now, as you see, after 22 years later, it's Bernard Training Solutions International, and I work with clients all over the world. So that's how that came to be. And I authored 2 other books called Mastering the Art of Success with Jack Canfield, Mark Victor Hansen.
Congratulations.
Right. And Les Brown. And then also another one before that, I think it was 2005, was Sales Gurus Speak Out. And that was just a bunch of Canadian companies that came on board, and kind of hand selected. And that's how that happened. And now this is going to be my 3rd book, which is kind of cool. Collaborated. And I love to give back. I love to get the spark of people understanding sales, because people focus on marketing and branding, and then they sometimes forget about the systems and what you need to sell, to make sure you sell. And if you have a product or service, and it sits on the shelf because you don't really know how to move that forward, and it's hit and miss, you wait for people just to kind of fall on your lap, however that may be, word of mouth. And if you don't know how to close, and you don't know how to attract those leads and all that stuff, that's how I came into play, and I'm loving it so far. And I just love being part of a community where I'm allowed a gift to really help companies, entrepreneurs, businesses move forward and fulfill their dreams and visions.
Beautiful.
That's a high.
Very, very good. Well, thank you for joining us, Emin, and I'm glad you could get back in here. So we were starting to have that conversation about your chapter on what is your continual improvement plan. What's the premise behind your chapter?
Well, it goes back to I worked in corporate for about 30 years or so, and I was graduated with a business technology degree. So I went right into software development. And further along in my career, I became part of an ISO 9000 team. And ISO 9000 team, we were responsible for continual improvement. And that was a aha moment for me. Although I had been developing software for a decade or so at the time, it just put it all into perspective, the importance of continual improvement. And as I went on throughout life, I would just see people who would be somewhat closed-minded to suggestions of improvement. And one of the big things about continual improvement is you can justify the goal. There is an end game. So you really lay out your requirements and develop your behavior, and then you're able to measure it. So really it comes from, a technology background. And when we build systems, I was telling you earlier, oftentimes you hear people saying, "Oh, this technology is killing us. It's like the worst thing." And as a developer, as a computer scientist, we don't shoot the messenger, because what we do is we sit back and we evaluate human behavior. Give you an example. If you're familiar with Easy Pass these days, you just drive your car right through back in the day, you used to have to stop, pay the toll clerk, and then keep going. So we would sit back, evaluate that, and I actually was part of the company that developed the Easy Pass software. But yeah, and so I left corporate from developing systems for 30 years, and then I always moonlighted as a realtor, and then I employed those same technologies, those same tenets to my property management business.
Very cool. So what inspired you to be part of this chapter for the Game Changer this year?
Well, I just feel like I really wanted, it was an opportunity to get the word out. Like I said, when in development, you sit behind a office doing push out code. You do all the upfront work, and then you're basically behind code, and you're really isolated from a lot of folks. And with that isolation, that knowledge is also isolated, I found. So when the opportunity arose to contribute to a book, something I always wanted to do, write a book, and just for legacy, family. But I thought this would be a great way to just stop thinking about it and doing something about it. So I really took advantage, and I really want to get the word out to people, specifically homeowners, that you can improve the way you rent your property. Because I'm into residential rentals, it can apply to commercial rentals also. People been doing it. Like I've been a landlord for 30 years, and I know what I'm doing. And yes, there's a new generation. There's a better way. And if you look at the book and all the steps required for a continual improvement plan, you'll see the ingredients or the formula for making that happen. And the most important thing about it is, are you able to measure the before and after? Is it better? So.
That's beautiful. That we live in such incredibly changing times. And, here we are, we're sitting here doing this interview. It's going to a number of platforms all at the same time. And we're able to get our message out in ways that never would have happened even 10, 15 years ago. And I often say, what would have happened if COVID had happened 20 years ago, when we didn't have the technology to stay connected and to really, people were isolated, but we still had the Zoom and we had the different platforms that we could use to really connect with others. But if that had happened 15, 20 years ago, we wouldn't have had those opportunities. It would have been a whole different scenario that we'd be faced with. And so here we are at this beautiful day and age, and we can shine, we can stand up and get our messages out to the world in amazing ways. And I think at the core, most people are really, truly good. There are the ones that are bad, but the most core of people are just amazing human beings. And yet some of us don't know that we can rise above a situation that we may be in. And we just need to hear somebody else's train of thought, somebody else's message. And that's what this is all about. This is the Game Changers. This is life inspirational stories that brought us to where we are, because for each one of us, where we are today and how we serve in the world is our way to bring our treasured gifts to the world. And everyone has treasured gifts that the world's just waiting to explore. Okay. And so for you, Mark, when you decided to write this chapter in the book, what was the inspiration behind deciding to write this chapter? And what do you hope somebody gains when they pick up and read this book and read your chapter in particular?
Well, I kind of took it on the approach that I want someone to look past in their lives and know that they're a game changer, because there's experiences that we've all have had. And I encourage everyone that's listening to really dig deep and go, why are you where you are at? And what expertise do you have? And where did that spark come from?
Right.
And how could you move that forward? Because you're right, we're all game changers. We're all thought leaders. We all live in our bubble, but when we go out and share our ideas, or I'm blessed that I can go out and facilitate and train and coach and maybe bring out some of that wisdom that they may not even have known they had. Mm-hmm. And I wrote this in thinking and hoping that, listen, I was 9 years old when these experiences happened, and way back then it has affected my direction and what I wanted to do. And when you were 9 years old, 8 years old, 5 years old, 12 years old, what was it in your life that made you want to become a game changer? And what can you do to better the world, really, and not to be so dramatic, but be a game changer
Right.
out there. And that's where I kind of took the approach from. And I love the name Game Changer, because there was a time when in my career that I was known as the game changer, because I was saying game changer, you're a game changer, in my talks. And people were meeting me going, you're the game changer. A matter of fact, still today, when Sharon and I, my wife, when we hear the name game changer, someone uses it, she'll look at me and start laughing. Because in my talk, I said it so often that you're a game changer and we're a game changer. It's a game changer. It's going to change your life. So that's what.
Well, we'll come back to him. How about for you, Emin? What do you hope somebody
Look at that?
Okay.
Am I frozen?
Yeah, you were frozen there for a moment.
I might be frozen.
You're not now. You're good now.
Well, just to piggyback off Mark, I mean, he's preaching to the choir. I mean, really, that continual improvement plan is based on some of the things he was saying, because you're changing the game. I mean, and you're measuring that change, which is really important also.
Yes,
it's truly important. So if somebody picks up your copy of the book, Emin, what do you hope that they're going to gain from what you wrote?
Well, the biggest thing, I hope that and again, I'm a big proponent of writing down, say what you do and do what you say. So, okay, I'm going to make this improvement in whatever area it is, whether it's professional, personal. Put that goal down. Put what do you want to improve? What is the requirement? What is it going to take? Literally write it down. And then go through the process of implementing that change. And then evaluate what that change, has the change occurred? Has it really occurred? Or I just didn't get a chance to make that change. The nice thing about it is you wrote it down and you're able to measure that it didn't happen, or it did happen, or it halfway happened. And if it halfway happened, how do I improve and go back to the top of the life cycle? And I kind of lay it out pretty well in that book. It's a short chapter, but I just want to make sure I get wanted to make sure I get all those really important pieces together for any individual to come up with a game plan, a continual improvement plan.
Beautiful. And did it impact you in any way to sit down and write this chapter?
Oh yeah, it's going to help me, because I need a lot of improvement in so many areas. But yes, absolutely, because it's almost like a coach. It feels like I'm a ball player also. I was a college ball player. Our descendants, I mean, our children are ball players, and learned a lot from that whole experience, being a team. Speaking of game changers, being a teammate and being part of a basketball players fraternity. So yeah, it'll apply to me, because my company is growing. I've only been full time in my company for 2015, and it's growing. And one of the areas I really want to improve on is the integration between the subsystems. We have great units. For example, we have a great financial unit, but it doesn't talk to the other units. So yeah, I'm using that to okay, we need the integration between these different units, and how do we make that happen, and when is it going to happen? So yeah, it helped me refocus.
Beautiful.
So, yeah.
And Mark, circling back around to you, while after you froze there for a moment, and here you are writing in the book called The Game Changer, and it kind of brings it back full circle to how the very core of who you are. But in writing this chapter, what was your personal experience in having to put pen to paper and really make something concise and to the point and heartfelt, and something that would be impactful?
Well, first and foremost, I was thinking about my dad, about how he would take it. So when I had my rough draft, I actually went to him and I read it to him. So I needed that permission first. I know that was a big piece of it, to go, do you mind if I write about you? Right. And he was honored and he loved it. So that was the first piece. But the process was, going through Amon's program and really digging deep into my stories and honoring my stories and honoring my history and who I am and how I got where I'm at. I honor that, but I also want to project that onto others. As I said earlier, that I want people to honor themselves, because each and every one of us is just just a walking wisdom.
Mm,
As my dad used to say, we're blobs of flesh. We're just nothing but a wisdom of a walking entity. And refer back and go, why did I get here? So that process was very soothing, and it was a lot of releasing of of uh of just letting it flow
right.
and allowing that to flow, and those memories come back, and then having the courage to share those intimate moments in my life was it was empowering for me to
I have
be
always,
vulnerable.
yeah, I have always found that too. When you have to sit down and really collect your thoughts, and there's sometimes we go through life with kind of a perspective on things, but until we have to put pen to paper and actually, we can speak the same words, but it's really different when we put pen to paper, because you have to make your words concise and to the point, and you have to really convey it in a whole different way than just a conversation like this. And what also really impresses me about this is that in some small way, with just a chapter, we're leaving a legacy. And those that are offspring, those that love us in the future, years down the road, can pick up a copy of this book and read this chapter and maybe get to know you in a different way than they ever really realized about you. And what really sticks in my mind is I've watched that series called Finding Your Roots,
Mm-hmm.
and it has been by I forgot the guy that put this together, but it is a huge series, and it really goes into, most of us don't know past our parents anything, and many of us don't even know that much about our parents. We don't know where our grandparents came from. We don't know the paths that they walked. We don't know where they really came from and what they did to get to this place, to maybe to the United States or wherever they were from. And I think the value of storytelling and doing what we're doing in a book like The Game Changers, or any other book that we participate in, or standing from the stage speaking. But there's something magical about a book, because 100 years from now, that book can still be available,
Mm-hmm.
and leaving that footprint of a legacy, to really help somebody understand where you came from and what your life lessons were. And it may be something I need to hear, or somebody in your family needs to hear. So it's a really beautiful thing. And I always think that we become an advocate, we show the way, we shine the light of truth, and we unite people by being able to share our stories with the world. And we don't want to lose that gift of storytelling.
You are right on. And that process, I encourage everyone to go through that process. And meditation is a good way to do that. And just put pen to paper, and some of us call it automatic writing, and let it write. And sometimes what writes, it's like that show you talked about of finding your roots. The self-discovery is such a wonderful gift.
It
I know
is.
for myself, it's a wonderful gift for me to go deep and go, wow, I didn't even think I felt that way, or I don't remember that had such an impact on me. And it's a releasing, right? It's a growth. It's making space
Yes.
so you can have other things in your life. So yes, I'm with you that releasing that and just going deep and allowing yourself to go deep. The business side is there, and but the game changer is when people want to share, how did you get where you are? What were the roots? What were the roots of where you're at? And then they can reflect on themselves going, especially if you're 13, 14, 9-year-old going, what do I want to be? And the experiences that you have now can definitely shape you in the future. And when you go deep with that, that is a self gift, and it could be a game changer in your life.
Absolutely. So his name was William Henry Gates Jr. And
That's it.
yeah, so yeah, I just was like all of a sudden couldn't get it.
Oh,
So,
thank
so what is for you, Emin? What is your takeaway as far as one message for those that either read your chapter or listen to this video that you would want them to walk away with and really take to heart and into their soul?
Ooh, well, continual improvement should definitely be employed in your life. There's no doubt about that. And you have to write it down. One of the things you mentioned was how, our descendants are going to have more information about just generation than any other with the information age. I mean, and one of the things, and what, from photos to writing to Instagram posts, I have an aunt who I lost recently. She still has a Facebook. I mean, so our descendants are going to be exposed to more information than any of our predecessors or our ancestors. And so with that said is, when you can create your continued improvement plan, you'll start the process of writing down what you're doing, where you are, how you got, where you're going, did you get there? And if not, what changes you made in order to make that happen. And writing a book really does leave a legacy behind that allows you to communicate to those descendants. So I really appreciate the time. And the one takeaway I would say is make sure you put it down on paper. What are the goals? And then what does it take to get there and how you're going to implement it?
Awesome.
And then wait.
Very cool. And any final thoughts for you, Mark?
Yeah, just to echo that is, go deep, allow yourself to be vulnerable. Just look at your past as a gift. And, everything we do, especially say in sales, it's 80% mindset and 20% sales skills. So everything we do is mindset and it's discovering self. And when you allow yourself to be a game changer by allowing yourself to be vulnerable, by allowing yourself to put your pen to paper, pencil to paper, and write out your intimate thoughts, and that could be your next book, your next journal, your next biography. That's powerful, and people need to hear everyone's story because they're all so unique. And I think that's the gift, is understanding that we are all unique. We all have our story, and we're so very important, and we're all that piece of that puzzle.
We all go. It all fits together, doesn't it?
It all fits together, and we're all game changers.
Yeah.
Right. And I want everyone to know that and use the tools to have a self-discovery that you are your own game changer to your community, to your country, and to the world.
Right. And to your family.
Yeah. And to your family.
Yeah.
And to your family, most importantly.
Most importantly, yeah. Gentlemen, I feel very honored to have got to meet you this way. I read your stories already, and that's my job. I get to read the stories before anybody else does. and I really appreciate the men that you are and how you stand up in the world and let your light shine. And I thank you for this opportunity to get to meet you and continue on your journey of shining that light strong for others.
Well, thank you. It's been an honor. It's just an honor.
Thank you, Becky. Really appreciate it.
And it's been a game changer.
Yahoo! All right.
Get the book. We have formulas in there. We have how-tos in there.
We got all kinds of good stuff in this book. So for those listen now or listen later, I hope you will pick up a copy. It's in the chat, but it's also going across the bottom of the screen there. And I hope you'll truly enjoy it and really take the time and just pick one chapter at a time and don't read it too fast. Just take the time to ponder over what you're reading. All right. Absolutely. Thank you, gentlemen. It's been wonderful.
Thank you, Becky. Thank you, Emin.
See you, Mark.
Take care.